There's nothing like the perfect alphabet set that works for cards, scrapbook pages, and home decor. And in my book, the new Lots of Letters stamp set by Melanie Muenchinger is the perfect alphabet set. I'd been playing with the set, using it in my Project Life scrapbook pages and to make unique greetings for cards, when Melanie surprised me with 3 fantastic cut files for the Silhouette Cameo that allow you to cut perfectly placed groupings, making creating greetings a snap. In the first part of this video, I'm going to show you how to move the different elements in the cut file around within the software to create any type of greeting you want. And then I'm going to show you how to mix the cutout card with the new Lots of Letters stamp set. There are a few different cut files to choose from in the Lots of Letters cut file series by Melanie Muenchinger. I store all of my Gina K Designs cut files in a particular folder on my computer. It makes it very easy to find them when I need them. I'm going to show you what the Lots of Letters cut files look like. There are the LOL circles, which is the Lots of Letters circles, the LOL squares, and the LOL rounded squares. The file I'm going to work with today are the LOL circles. So I'm going to open that one up, and I'm going to position it so that you can see it clearly here on the screen. And I'm also going to shrink it down just a little bit by clicking on the minus magnifying glass. There we go. Now you can see the whole file. As you can see, there are different groupings of circles, and those groupings will create cutouts on this card base, or this card front, that contains this cute little scalloped edge. Now you can pick and choose which grouping you'd like to use for your card front. For example, if you wanted to use this one, you would click on it and drag it onto the card front. And then it would cut out this entire card front, and it would cut this opening here for you to stamp letters inside to create custom greetings. Now obviously you don't need all of these cutouts to create your card front, so you're going to pick which ones will work to make the greeting that you want to make. You can also save these once they're cut out from inside your card, or you can use them to make cutouts where you'd actually stamp on this piece and then adhere that piece to your card front, almost like a cute little circular frame for a word or words. In order to remove the ones that you don't want, so your silhouette won't cut them, just click on them like I've clicked on this one and press the delete key. Now you can also click on several of them at a time by holding the shift button down, and once you've clicked on a few of them, then you can hit the delete key, and that will delete groups of them. I'm going to continue to delete the ones that I don't want for my card project, but I do want to show you something else here that you can do. Let's say you like this particular design, but that won't fit on your card. You can easily click on Object, Rotate, and then you can rotate it by 90 degrees. That will allow you to position it on your card if it's facing in this direction, or if you wanted to make it a diagonal, you can custom rotate it as well. There's rotating options here so that you can custom rotate it by clicking on exactly what you want. So let's say you want it to be 30 degrees. You can click on that. So you might want to do a little diagonal going across a piece, and you just have to play with it until it's exactly where you want it. I'm going to delete that now. Okay. And I'm going to delete these last two. And this is the one I'm going to use for my project. Now I'm going to click on the card front and move that up to the top, or close to the top. And then I'm going to move this one out of the way. I want this card to be centered, or at least I want to see where the center of the card would be so I can position my circular grouping. And the way to do that is find the center of the card, which is right there in the middle of that scallop. Let me blow this up a little bit so you can see it closer. And you can click on the card and move that so that that is right on a line. And then you can make sure that it's moved up so that it's on that top line. Now you know that on either side of this center line here, you have an even amount of card front. Now I'm going to click on this grouping of circles and position it where I want it to cut on my card. That looks fairly centered. And I want to leave room up top to add a ribbon and a button. Now this is the perfect size for the word thanks, T-H-A-N-K-S. But what if you wanted to spell out something like thanks friend? Well, you can add a second row by clicking on the design, clicking on edit, and then copy, and then edit again, and then paste. Then drag that down to exactly where you want it. Now my card has 2 rows of cutouts, and when I mount this piece onto a piece of white cardstock, all through these little circular cutouts will be white cardstock where I can stamp my designs, my alphabets, and my shapes from the lots of letters stamp set. Now if you like to make more than one card at a time, you can click on all the parts of this card, all 3, by holding the Shift key down while you're clicking, and then you can click on Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. And then you can grab this one and drag it down underneath. And now you can cut 2 cards at one time on your sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. But I'm only going to cut 1 today, so I'm going to delete that because I can use the rest of the red cardstock for a different project. So the only thing left to do, once you've got your card laid out exactly the way you want, is to click on File, and then Send to Silhouette. Now I don't have my Silhouette hooked up to my computer right now. That's why I have this red warning box. You won't have that red warning box as long as your Silhouette is connected to your computer with a USB cord and the Silhouette is turned on. And before you cut, make sure that you load the appropriate cardstock onto your cutting mat and load the cutting mat into the Silhouette machine. Now I want to show you one more thing you can do. Let's say you don't want circles. I'm going to delete those. But you would like some rounded squares. I'm going to open the rounded square file. And let me make that smaller. So this particular card front has rounded edges, but let's say I just want to take this one and I want to stamp the word love on the front of my scalloped card. So I've highlighted the one I want, and I'm going to click Copy, and then I'm going to close this file by clicking on the X down here. No. And now I'm going to click Edit and Paste. Now I can use the rounded squares along with the scalloped card front So I'm mixing those two files together. So you can mix and match parts of different Silhouette files with parts of other Silhouette files just by copying and pasting the different elements that you want to blend together. So I'm going to just click on undo and then undo again a couple times here till I go back to my original layout. There we go. And now this layout here that I've created is all ready to be cut with my two groupings of circles and room for a ribbon and a button up top. The last thing to do is to click on the word cut, and the Silhouette will do the rest. This is what the cutout card looks like once it's finished cutting in your Silhouette Cameo. And you can see it has the two groupings that you saw in the software and that cute little scalloped edge. So now, my next step to completing this card is to adhere this cutout cardstock to a piece of white cardstock to create a little border and allow me to stamp inside. So I'm going to stick that on using a little bit of mono adhesive, but first I want to show you how great this is when you take a Cuttlebug folder like the Swiss dot folder and run this cutout card through the Cuttlebug. So I'm going to start with an A plate and a B plate, and then I'm going to stick this piece of cutout cardstock inside this Swiss dot folder. Of course, you can use any folder that you want. I really like the way the dots look up against the circles. So depending on which cut file you use, you might want to use something with more squares or something with more swirls. You might want to create a little bit of contrast. Okay, so now I have that placed in there. I'm kind of a stickler about making sure that the dots are straight and line up. So there we go. That looks pretty straight. Well, it looks a little crooked up here. Let me just fix that. Okay. And now I'm going to lay the other B plate on top and run this through the Cuttlebug. And you can see how neat that looks once it's run through an embossing folder. So now you have texture on top of that cut piece of cardstock. And now I'm going to stick this whole thing onto this panel of white. Just using a little bit of the mono adhesive. And you may want to just add a little bit in here too to make sure that this part is laying flat as well. And line that up. There we go. Okay, so now I have the two areas here ready to be stamped. I'm going to start with some of the Ladybug ink, and I'm going to grab one of these little frames that comes with this set. This one looks like a little starburst, and using the Ladybug ink, I want to stamp some red stars inside of these circles. So I'm going to ink that up. And you don't have to be super precise. It's okay if they're a little bit different on each one. But you can see how cute this is when you outline each one before you stamp the letters inside. And it's up to you how you do this. You can alternate frames because there are several different frames to choose from. Or you can use all the same frame on the top and use a different frame on the bottom. For my card, I'm just going to stick with all the same frame because I like the way it looks. It almost looks like, because of that star background, it looks like surprise. And that's what I want this card to be, kind of like a nice surprise for my friend when she opens up her mailbox. And there's the last one. So you can see how easy that all stamped in there. It's looking cute already. So now I'm going to start with the letters, and I'm going to stamp those using the Tuxedo black ink. And you can see how easily these just stick on and then ink it up, and because they're clear stamps you can see right through. So there's my T. And basically what I'm going to spell out is thanks, friend. So H. And you can turn the letters so they don't all have to be perfectly straight if you want it to look more like kind of a little bit wonky going across. That's always fun. Or you can make them perfectly straight. And since they're clear stamps, they're very easy to see. There we go. And let me find the K. And some people like to kind of think a little bit ahead, and if they have S's in both words, they'll stamp all the S's when they have the S on the block. Well, you know, I kind of like to spell it as I go, so you might see me pick up the same letter more than once, but you can see how quickly this is going and how easy it is to create the perfect greeting onto your card front. So let me finish it up just so you can see the finished card as I go. You can see how much fun it would be too to stamp custom greetings, and I have a couple samples to show you. And you may notice that I jiggle the stamp just a little bit when I'm stamping these letters. I'll press straight down and then I'll just jiggle it a little bit. I don't rock it because I don't want to double stamp it, but I just kind of jiggle it a little bit. And that really helps to make sure that the entire image gets stamped. But I would practice that first on a scrap piece of paper before you do that on a project that you're getting ready to send, that you've put all the work into. So there we go. Thanks, friend. Isn't that just bright and fun? Well, let me show you the finished card project that I made using this particular cut file and layout. Here on my sample, all I did to this card was mount this whole panel onto a black card base, and then I added a little bit of black gingham ribbon and a little button up top with some black baker's twine, and that just makes a fun little card, super easy, and the greeting itself becomes the focal image. Let me show you another card that I made. Here's a cute little Christmas card, a little holiday card, peace, love, joy, and I used the cut file where the circles were all straight across. And of course you can do this with squares instead, or you can do this with the rounded squares as well. My next card I personalized for my daughter. You all know my daughter Alicia is away at school, and so I wanted to show you a personalized card. Here I used the little snowman from the Snow Unlike You 1 Free with 3 stamp set, and then I made a card for my daughter that just says, "Miss you, Alicia." And that's another really fun thing about using these cut files, or just using the alphabets by themselves, is to be able to personalize a card for your son or your daughter or a loved one that's far away. And it looks like you really took the time not just to stamp a generic card, but to make it personal and give it that little personal touch. If you don't have a Silhouette Cameo, you can create similar cards by using some of the smaller squares and circles Spellbinders dies to create groups of openings. Or for very short words, you may be able to use a small circle punch for creating groups of openings along the bottom or side of your card as well.